The following conversation is with Tony Cuevas of the Cuevas Classic. It's a 4-race series down just south of Dallas. Tony is regarded as one of the best one-loft handlers in the country and was kind enough to give us an hour of his time answering different questions that evolve around the one-loft game. If you're enjoying these videos, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment on the video letting us know what you think. Vámonos! All right, Tony Cuevas, the Cuevas Classic. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff, for having us today. It's an honor to be here on your YouTube channel. Thanks for the opportunity to show us on your YouTube channel.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. And before we start, my hair is not great today. I need to add something to this real quick.
Oh, look at you.
Vámonos.
Man, where's mine? I'm jealous now. Where's mine? You know what? I actually gave all those out, and I think I only have one for me, and there's the one that I work with outside, man. So I start looking, like, you know what? Let me take one somewhere, and I start looking. I'm like, I don't have any more. So I need to send more I need to make more for my other customers that ain't receiving.
Yeah, this hat's pretty slick. I like it.
Thank you for wearing it.
Yeah,
you look good though.
Thank you. Thank you. I like your shirt too. That's nice.
Thanks.
All right, so where did it begin for you, Tony? How did you get involved originally with pigeons and get into the hobby?
Man, well, let me tell you, I was actually the first one in the family that started with pigeons. Everybody was either to horses or roosters. I was the first crazy one. I started since I was little. Back home, I'm from Mexico. It's like everybody in the neighborhood usually have pigeons, but it's not like on a club level. I don't know if you have ever experienced, but we were like having birds, and it's more like just a hobby and something to do after school. So there was a club, but it was only for like the older people, older guys, older people. For it was just fun, have just random pigeons and small loft. I have a picture on my Facebook where you can see mine made of bags, and it was crazy because it was more like if you really want it, you need to like make it up whatever you can find. It's not like we have all the resources that we have here. We are lucky. We are definitely lucky here that we have all kinds of resources and stuff to make everything to be who we want to be. So I started there. I remember the first bird that I got. It was actually at my dad used to train roosters, and one of them came, and that's where I started. I started getting more and more and more. And then I came here to the States when I was 10, 11 years old. So I had to, stop for a little bit. And I forgot about it, because the life here in the United States is a little bit faster. School. So I was going back to Mexico, and I still had that little passion for them, So I go back, and I still have the feeling. I get to see pigeons. I get to see my friends, and hey, there's pigeons. But one year, that was back in 2004. I went for the whole summer. I got me some pigeons and started, there, because I know I was going to be there for a little bit, but for the whole summer. So I got me pigeons, and again, here we go, that feeling. And I ran to this guy. He's like, "There's pigeons in the United States." I said, "Man, there ain't no pigeons, because you don't know." I'm like, "Man, come on, there ain't no pigeons." He's like, "Yeah, man, some of the best ones are over there." Like, "You crazy?" He like, "Let me show you one." So he showed me one. He says Washington, and he had the Washington band. And I'm like, so now he's taken to my head. So came back to the States. And one of my cousins introduced me to Tejano Loft here nearby, local flyer, really good flyer. And everything started there. And I started, gathering birds. He introduced me to the club. And that's where everything began here, And from there, now we're here. But it was pretty... you have to I actually had the birds, like I said, since I was little, and it's my passion. So that's why it was always there, even though they were not there. But as soon as found them again, hey, I was born again.
Yeah. So whenever you decided to get the birds, down in Texas, did you fly in the club at all, or how did you kind of
I
start?
did. I actually did. I flew with Dallas Club, Dallas homing. I flew there for 7 years. For several years. Um, and this is an advice, for all the beginners. It's hard because you have family, you have a full-time job. Sometimes it's hard, but like I said, if it's really in you, you're gonna make it work.
Right.
You're gonna make it work. Luckily nowadays, we have these one-off races.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes we're not that good as we think, or we're not that bad like we look. Meaning, like, sometimes club level is more about knowledge, experience, and location. You might
Right.
have better birds, but you still don't have the knowledge, the experience, or you might have the experience and the knowledge and the birds, but you don't have the location. Because a lot of the times here in Texas, I don't know if you probably familiar,
Yeah.
we are very spread out.
Right.
So most of the time, the wind will determine the winner. Now it's getting better because they're getting more and more and more flyers. I remember back in Dallas, back in when I started, 2006, 2007, there was only, man, I'll tell you, about 18 tops, 17
Hmm.
flyers, because it was actually going down. Now they're probably up to 30, so it's definitely it's growing.
That's good.
So now everything's getting closer. Um, but going back, I have several people that decided that we're too busy to work with work, and they actually starting with one-off races. And now it's some of the top people flying.
Yep.
You just have to know what you're trying to do, where you want to be, and come up with the plan. But my plan when I was flying club was the money races, or the 300 miles, because I had to work. So I was working the birds slowly. Here comes the money races, and I scored, because that was my main thing.
Right.
That was my head was there. Used to train them 100, 200, and stop them, and kind of get them ready. It might work, it might not work. It depends. Like I said, it depends that day. But that was always what I was concentrating in those money races.
So when did you transition from flying in the club to deciding, what, one loft is something I want to do. I want to start in this. Where did that begin for you?
Back in 2016, 2017, the club actually was hosting the Texas Center winning meeting. That's when I got my other house, previous to this one. And I was like, you know what? I don't have a day. I don't have to pretty much train, and then you get bad weather and things change. I said, let me try this. I said, so I ended up handling that race. I also changed the format, because I don't know if you remember, it was a one race.
Right.
It was a one race. So I was like, man, I mean, we're spending all this money on birds for one race. I said, anybody can have a luck day, but if you do three or more, and I ended up changing the format for them, and it looks like a stick, and it was better. It's better now that when people
Absolutely.
have 2 or 3 or more races, because you can actually prove your bird more that way. Uh, we end up doing it, and I remember Erica Reed said that is the most numbers that a Texas Center have ever had. I think we had like 400, 300 and some number. I don't know, 340, 360 something. So we did really good, for all the people that I know around the country. I had a big support, because before that, like I said, I was really bad at club flying, but I was very, very lucky, if you can say that, flying one low races in Mexico. So I mean, my beginner's luck, I guess you can call it. I mean, I won a national race like I was on the drop like 3 years in a row. Actually, I went to represent Mexico on the World of Pigeons, like where all the country sends,
Right.
back in France. So I sent birds there. I was very, very lucky there. So I got a lot of people knew me. And when I started, they support me. We did it. We actually did a good job there. And then I started, and I like it. Like, you know what? This is a little bit better than flying club for me, my lifestyle. work, my girls. So I said, you know what, let me try it. That was 2017 as well. So we finished one and we started the other one. Um, and here we are now, 6
Yeah.
years later.
What was some of the challenges you faced whenever you began the One Loft? Because you're getting a group of birds that are from all over, different places, different cares being brought to the pigeons. Did you have a lot of challenges kind of health wise, or what were some lessons you learned as you kind of began with that? Because I think that'd be a pretty big challenge to have all those different birds coming in.
Okay, so here's the key thing that happens to me. And when I met this guy here the first time, I was helping him, work around. He was helping with knowledge, birds, and a lot of stuff. That's how I think we should do it. All do it. Sometimes people expect things back. Hey, if you give me knowledge, I'll help you with what you need.
Right.
Along the way, that will pay me more
Right.
than, because for them, it's like years and years of knowledge. And if they can give it to you, I mean, I'd rather have that than getting paid.
Right.
So when I got introduced with this guy, I mean, he had all the connections back in Mexico. And I'm talking about big connections, like people who's been established. I mean, their laws are amazing. So I think one thing that play a big part on my role was that me coming in and get to know like the people like up there opened my eyes.
Mhm.
So club level was good, but my eyes were like up here. Like I was already looking up. I was like, yeah, club level is good, but I want more than that. I want
Right.
more. I want more. So I get to know these people. They had a one race. Another one was a vet. So we start talking. I start making friends. And since I was winning, we get to share information. I get to fly over there, get to know them. So I get to experience. I get to get a lot of experience from these people who has done it before. Power, knowledge is power. I have always, no, I mean, tell people this, like, hey, if you send into a one-on race, you need to call that guy and say, hey, what works on your area? Hanks, cocks, small, medium, fast,
Absolutely.
low. Um, that's what you need to know. Know about, who's winning, what's winning. Who knows better? The guy there.
Right. The guy that's there every day taking care of the bird.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a question. Hey, what's happening? What's winning? What bloodline do you think is working? Who has the best birds? Because there are a lot of people, go and buy birds. So hey, if you call me and say, hey, Tony, there's some people that actually does like who is winning, who should I buy birds? I said, well, where you need to fly with your race? I said, well, these people have been consistent. This year, actually, 2023 was new for breeders and for me because it's a new course. But usually on my other place was 5 years, 5, 6 years that we flew. So
Right.
you kind of knew who had the birds for that course. This 2023 was a little bit different, so it was new for them and new for me. But that's I'll give you an example myself. Try California Classic 1, 2 years, I think. Didn't have any luck. Start doing research. You got Joe, you got Johnny Lynn. Went by birds from them, but got them. Wait for that year. I didn't flew a year at all. One of the races that was 2022. I sit down. I didn't fly. 2023, put them together, same birds. I was, boom,
Boom.
very close on the drop. So why? Because I've been doing the homework,
Right.
Usually, most of the time we hear people say, well, I don't have that type of money. Yeah, but we need to figure out how to get there. We need to have a point A and point B. How am I going to get from point A to point B? We already know that we don't have the money. So what we need to do your homework, do a research, and work hard and focus on that. Don't focus about anything else. And
Yeah.
you eventually get there. And that's how you do. We don't have the money to be spending and be trying 30, 40, 50 birds to one race, but we work hard. We're trying to get as much knowledge, like I was saying, to ask people. I call John. I say, hey, John, what kind of bird? With this and this type of bird, okay, great. So now with that type of bird, kind of know what I need to look for. And I have the bloodline that's supposed to be winning. Is it going to win every time? No. But guess what? Your chances are higher.
Yeah. So, I think that's great advice to study, not only locally what's working for you if you're doing club, but in one loft studying what's working in the one lofts that you're going to be entering. And I think building relationships with people, like you said, calling people up, talking to them. And I think if you are to get birds from someone, it's really good to update them on how the birds are doing. People love to hear that kind of information. So, like you said, when you're getting birds from people that it's working on these one lofts, keeping in touch with them, building that relationship, that's how it's done. And I think it's definitely going to help things continue to progress forward as the one lofts continue to grow and grow. So you said you learned from some mentors you had down in Mexico that kind of prepared you for the one loft scene. What is it down there? I don't know a ton about it. What's the culture down there in the pigeon world? What the numbers are we talking about? How many flyers? What's the scene down there in Mexico?
So there's several different cities, so pretty much I'm more where Jalisco is. Like that's where I was born. I'm from Michoacan, which is the state down, but I was born in Jalisco. Man, there are big races there, like club level, they have 50,000, 40,000, 30,000 birds, flying every week, young birds. And now there's a bunch of one love races as well. But when I started, I was more into one love races only outside Jalisco. In Jalisco, but outside, but not so much on these big areas. Like I said, you have to focus on one. Like, it's okay, I'm going to start here. I'm going to try to win this race, and then if you accomplish that, then okay, I'm going to try to do this other one. So there's a very, very big field there to play. There's whatever you want, whatever you want to compete. Like I said, you got these big numbers, you got the one-off races, you have everything. And like I said, it's not just because you have that, but you have to have it on you. Like you have to know who you want to be, where you want to be, and get to work. Like I said, this I haven't flown there for several years too, because like I said, I was when I started here, then I said, okay, I need to stop there and concentrate here. And then I went back this year. Actually, I just yesterday actually when I sent the birds back to try it again. But it's like you cannot be all over the area. You need to kind of try, see where you want to win, and then go from there. But yeah, it's a big variety of either one love race, high level, or a club level. Like I said, you competing against those numbers. And you have to be honest, it's a big deal. They're all birds because you fly 900 kilometers, 800. There's actually 1,020, and I believe it's like 1,100 kilometers. So they're always pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. And they're proud, man. There's little towns. Capilla de Guadalupe is a big town where probably find 4,000 birds, and it's not as big as the other city. It's small, but man, since it's a small town, when they fly, I mean, they're proud of what they do, and they're going to try to be the best and have the best, because they're always trying to. They got the resource, and they come here, they go to Europe and stuff, and buy anything they need to buy to win, because they're proud and they don't want to be beat.
So, do you think one loft racing's bigger down there than club racing, or is it pretty mixed?
One love race?
Yeah, in Mexico, is it one loft racing?
Okay,
or loft racing
so
bigger?
that's another thing. There ain't nobody better than United States in one love racing.
Mm-hmm.
Why? You might have other countries with big numbers. Yes, you do. But how many races are actually on that country?
Right. Right.
How many good races do you have in the United States? I mean, there's tons.
Coast to
And they're
coast.
more and more and more and more and more, So yes, they have the number, other countries have the numbers and how they pay out, but I would like them to compare training, returns, numbers, and I think United States has grown big time and the level one on one of racing and breeders having the best birds because they go and buy the best. Eventually, we're gonna have the best.
Right.
They just have the new stuff, but there've been so many people already buying birds and sell birds, and now a lot of people has good birds here. And the reason why I tell you that the percentage that people that goes and fly one of races in Mexico, they're always on top. Look at me when I was flying. That's why I tell people, there's always that, oh, well, they're better here, they're better there. I said, look, you can think that, you want to argue that. I said, but numbers do not lie.
Right.
You can tell me what you want. You can experience what you want. Numbers do not lie. Anytime somebody wants to do numbers, let's do numbers.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's tough here, and it's continuing to grow. And, I talked to Steve Martis the other day, and, talking about his one loft. And, I think a lot of these guys, Rick Mee's another one that has had a lot of success racing their own birds. And then it transitions to having a good one loft race, that proper management of the birds. And so you have a lot of guys like you that are really experienced and doing a great job, and it's continuing to grow. Um, what I'm going to put a picture while we're talking here of your new loft that you built. Talk about building that and the design. And there's going to be people listening that may not be familiar with the new loft and the new direction you're flying. Give us some information on that.
So I think it was 2 years or 3 years. 2 years ago, I visited Florida Derby, Rito. I actually visited that place, and I love the loft. I mean, man, but we're in a different environment. So you're gonna have to take the idea, convert it. At least, like I say, more knowledge, more power. So
Right.
I want to talk to everybody. I want to learn about what they know, and so that way, it's more information for me. So I visited there, and I was like, man, this loft is amazing. I got back, and we started sharing some ideas with all the guys about that loft. I said, hey, what do you think about that loft? He's like, yeah. So we start putting something together. So I started to think, okay, so if I want to do something similar to that, I cannot do completely the same because it doesn't work in this environment.
Right.
Now, what works from that loft? What can that work for me? So I started designing one the way it is. We didn't like the trapping, like the trap is not going to work here. I said I need a better, different system because I had a system on my other loft that it was on top, and it was great. I never had issue, but I said, you know what? I want to try it on the bottom. So I changed the way the loft was. But if you see, I took the way the loft was built, which is metal, but I still did the same type of loft I had on my older place. Sections, hallway, aviaries, same thing. The only thing they changed was actually the trapping, which is now on the floor. I always wanted to do that. It works, it's great if you work the birds when you have to work the birds. Because you might have a great returns, great trapping, but if you don't educate the birds, you don't work with them, it can be a mess.
Right.
On the races, people are like, man, I love the way the birds trap. They don't know the struggle I went through the summer trying to get them to trap.
Yeah.
So
getting them to that point where they're able to know what you're wanting from them, and all the little details of work that go into making that happen.
Yes. So another thing that people would advise, we like a lot of things that we see, but might not be what you need or what you want to work or what can work for you. You always have to see, grab the idea, but make it yours. I always tell people, build your dreams, not somebody else's. Because you're going to be there and it's going to work for you, not for the other people.
Right.
So I started building with that idea, the height, the flooring, the sections. And I said, you know what? It's kind of similar. People are like, no, it's not the same. I said, it's the same. Like, I mean, just on a different model, but it's the same as the one I had. Like I said, the only thing it changes is bigger, way bigger, much bigger. The material is different and the trapping is different, but the same idea. Because why change something that has worked for you?
Right.
So loading still the same. The only thing is the ramp was I didn't have the space in my other place, so I had to do like inside the hallway, but it would still have a ramp to load the birds. Best thing ever. People will not. You will not stress the birds. You will not stress yourself trying to catch the birds. Either the day before or early that morning. 30 minutes. I mean, I don't know. There's videos there with my daughter. It's actually loading the birds. Very easy, very simple, because you have done the work through the year. I always say that birds going to show what they have learned through the year.
Yeah. So that takes it takes you as the pigeon fancier to teach them those systems. And once it's probably frustrating at times in the beginning to get them to that point. But once they're there, it's a lot easier on you. So what direction were you originally flying in your race? Then you switched to, which direction did you switch to for the new course?
Okay, so I was back in my first years, I was going east because it was so easy for me to train, just jump on 35, 20, and I was just heading east. And now we're actually going west, down 20. Uh, uh, and I like this course a lot better, not because the speed looks like the British love the speed, compared to the other one,
Mhm.
but the reason that I like, and I have, I had this on my head already a long time ago. The only thing is I knew that I was going to make a move, that I was going to change location. So I
Right,
wanted to wait. I wanted to wait to do everything at once because I like to be consistent. If you're not consistent with something, you have the breeders all over the place, and I
right.
don't want to do that. So I was waiting, change location, new direction. They like it. I love it. So we're gonna stick with it. The reason why I think this course works better is because the way the weather moves. It moves from west to east every time. The East course, sometimes we didn't have a choice but to let the birds out. Like we didn't have a choice to pick which day is better.
Right.
Unfortunately, by the time we have a clear day at the release point, means the front already passed, and it's probably going to be a northwest or southeast, and it was a little bit faster. Yeah, right. So we could have a little fast, a little slow. Out of the west, that means if my house is clear, it's clear there.
Mm-hmm.
On the west, on the east course, it might be clear on my house, but it has not clear at the release point. So we could not do anything. And by the time it goes past, we have another front already coming. So I think we have now with the adjustment that we did, it's a lot better that we get to pick better weather for a better racing. But it's hard to stop when people is buying more quality pigeons. When, for example, myself are trying to learn more, buying better supplements, better vitamins, better anything to have a better system. It is going to be hard to have a 12, a 11, a 900 yards. I mean that's a smash nowadays.
Right.
Because one, breeders are getting better birds. Two, we're getting better technology on the weather, so we get a better reading. And three, I want to say that I have more knowledge, than previous years, and I'm getting better at it. So it's going to be really hard to be having those 1,200, those 1,100. I think now 13s are back in the days, the 1,000 yards, um,
Sure.
14s, 15s, even 16s are still normal races, if you ask me, and going back to maybe that course is always going to be there. Let's talk about Florida. Bigger is one of the biggest, is the biggest race in the country. So we should support that. Am I going to be crying for fast races? No. Guess what? I want to see who's scoring. I want to see what's winning. I tried several years with my race, with my birds. If it doesn't work, guess what? I'm gonna go buy if I want to be there. But
Right.
that's what they're gonna do. Either I support or I go somewhere else. But that's what they have. I cannot change that.
Yeah, I think you're talking about adapting and learning and continuing to grow. And I think that's what you're talking about with changing from the East course to the West course, studying the weather, continuing to progress. You could have easily stayed where you were with what you were doing, but you're trying to improve and get better. And I think that's great example to set for people and advice for people that are trying to get better in the sport. You have to keep adapting, you have to keep studying, you have to keep learning and figuring it out. And that's one of the funnest parts of this racing pigeon game is it is a puzzle to be solved. And it is difficult, but it's a lot of fun. And so
Yeah, it is. And another thing, just to make it put it out there, we didn't really change a lot of on training or feeding or anything like that. That stayed the same.
right,
It will not be smart for you to change something when it's working.
right.
Because when it's not working, trust me, I'll be the first one. I'll be the first one worried. When
Yeah,
something's up, I'm like, oh my god, because I always like to be on top of it. Sometimes we know we can't, but it still bothers me. It bothers me a lot. So I always want to make sure I have a good race, a good show, and the people like it. That's why I changed. People, I believe I was doing good on the East, but I felt like people didn't like those high speed 16, 17, I had 19 or so, once in a while. But I changed to the West. Now we got 13s, 12s, 14s. I think we have several. Once on the regular season, we have one 17. I discovered in this location it's not good to have fast races because it's wide open and the birds would just
Blow right by.
pass. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's things that, like I said, things that we learn, and I know for future, so I know if it's a really fast race, I'm not even looking at that. Another thing that everybody wants to know the schedule for the Cuevas Classic. Well, the schedule starts the first week. Like when I started the first week, we always try to have it every week. Unfortunately, things don't go on our way. We try to finish as fast as y'all too. You want to have it finished done. But we don't live in a perfect world. We wish we can be in a perfect world. Can you imagine flying 5-6 races every week? Our life would be easier.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier, but like you said, I think we're getting more information on the weather to be able to predict a little bit better. But even on perfect days, things can happen. There's certain things that we can't measure or not quite sure of that can happen. And so, I think a race like yours that takes top quality care of the birds is important so that they're ready for any scenario they enter on a race. This question just kind of popped in my head when you were talking about your final and wanting to do well and whatnot. Is there a lot of stress and anxiety that you feel on a final race day? Is it just describe your feelings whenever you're approaching the final and you're having everyone there to watch. You have to put on a great event, but you also want the race to go well. What's that stress level like for you?
Okay, so I love pigeons. To start, that's where we start. Because I seen that people has a race and there's a race. I love pigeons. I want to have a good show. I want to enjoy. That's why I do shipping every night. Every week, hand scan. I want people to come. I want people to enjoy. Why? Because I was on their shoes once, and I'm still on their shoes. I want to go to a race. If I want to see the pigeons, I want to be able to see. I want to see because the way I think, and this I'm gonna be a little bit off of what you asked me, but I want to touch on this.
Sure.
I'm not just spending and wasting your 150 on perch and your 350 activation. I'm wasting your whole year of breeding. How much did you really spend on the breeder? What it took you to get that breeder and to really try. If I don't do my job, you're going to be wasting your money, your time, and that pair. So I want to make sure that when you look and you get your bird back, be like, is it worth it or not worth it? Because I want to make sure that I've done everything that is in my hand, that it was up to the bird to perform. That's why we choose the days to make sure the birds, it's a day where the birds can actually develop for what they're bred for. Sometimes raining and all that. No, I'm not that. I hate rain or very overcast. We have to learn. With the years, with my experience at it, I had a final which it was very cloudy and it was a disaster. I got daybirds, but the people was like, "Hey, this is what we want, but that's what you want, but that's not me." I will make sure that I learn from that,
Right.
and it will not happen.
Right.
So don't send next year thinking this is going to happen again. I said, because it will not happen.
Right.
Like I said, you learn. So
Yeah.
that's more what I see it. I want to make sure that when you get your bird back, or if you don't get your bird back, you know that it was a really good pair or was a pair that was not need to be made again.
Right.
Because we have done our job. Yes, going back to your question, I love pigeons, and the final man, it started like 2-3 days before. With the weather, the training, the feeding, how birds are reacting. Because still, you still have to see. You have to make sure the birds are actually rest. They have bounced back from the race before, right? Make sure that how you training is accordingly to what's coming. Make sure that that day the way you training the birds is actually going to hit the day for the final. Because you must start training flying Saturday or Sunday, start Tuesday or Wednesday, and you need to make sure you have a plan for whatever day.
Right.
Here at the Cuevas Classic, we have a race and then we have an event. That's why we don't get like deep turnouts, because we care about the race, and if there is a race, then we will have an event. We don't schedule an event before the race. you know,
That way you can
because yes,
adapt if the weather's bad or something's not right. You can adapt your scenario for what's best for the pigeons.
yes, we would love to have everybody, you know, but it comes down to what I was saying. Are we really going to give the birds a chance to perform or not? You know, um, so the feeling, going back to the feeling,
Yeah.
is it kind of breaking parts. For example, the day of shipping is when you like make sure that you know you handle the bird, you basket the birds, you bring them to the shop, scan them. When you see that trailer go, then you kind of relieve now. Whew, that's your first. Whew,
Yeah.
okay, we're getting closer.
Yeah.
That night and every night, I get to sleep several hours because I'm always tracking the trailer. Where is it at now? Where is it at now? Where is it at? Because I have a tracker on the truck and on the trailer. So I get to track it. Okay, where's the trailer? Did it stop? How long did it stop? How fast is it going? You know, because you want to make sure, and it's just on me like boom, boom, boom. My wife is like, man, you're getting old because I don't sleep. Like I'm always popping up and what time it is, Megan. So the next one is when you release. Make sure the release is clean, it's good, it's clear. When that happens, now you're like, oh, okay. Now it's up to the birds. Now we just concentrating on having a good, clean drop. So a lot of things change. You know, a lot of birds. How fast are they going to come? How many they're going to come? How's the crowd is going to, you know, react when the birds show? I usually at the final, I usually like to prepare people. Okay, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. You know, things can happen. That whole week, I'm preparing myself for worst case. What if this happened? What if this happened? How am I going to react? We have had some times where you're like, man, you have to think fast. And I have. And I believe I have made the right decisions. People's like, how do you think so fast? It's not that I'm very smart, but I have worked all that the whole week, the prior week to the final for worst case scenarios. How I'm gonna do it. If this happened, what I'm gonna do? How I'm gonna react, you know? And just getting the people prepared that day of training. The day of the final. This happened. This is what I'm gonna do. This happened. This is what I'm gonna do. To make sure you know they're understanding, just in case something happened and you're doing things, they know what's happening. You know.
Yeah, preparation so that you're ready for any scenario. That's always wise to do that. What's the process for you? Let's start with this. What do you prefer people that are going to be sending to your race? How do you prefer them to prepare their pigeons? What age do you like them to send? What vaccines do you like them to have had? What is the blueprint for your race as far as what you want to see from people that are breeders that are sending to you?
Okay, so this year we're doing something different. So we're not gonna use using the net. We're gonna get rid of the net. We're not using the net. We're gonna try something different. So what we're going to end up doing there, we're going to try to, we can get it, 50 days old. That should be good. 50 days old. That will be perfect. Vaccinate the birds. I don't really care which vaccines you use, as long as you vaccinate it within 15 days prior to shipping the birds. That's all I'm asking. If you're going to do it 15 days before you ship the birds. If you're not going to do it, I'm okay too, you know, because I know I'm going to do it. But if you do, make sure you do it before.
Right.
Another thing I noticed people was doing, and I you know, because I always said they're starting to cut the flights. So first guy, I'm like, okay. Second guy, third guy, I'm like, wait. And you see they're like friends. Like you see they all hang together, talk together. I pick up the phone and say, hey, what's happening? Why are you doing that? I mean, though it's something that I need to learn, that I need to do. Well, I got some birds from this other race, and they didn't pull the flight. I said, well, my friend, let me say something to you. I said, at the Cuevas Classic, we pull the flight, we cut and pull the flight every year.
Right.
I said, so you don't have to worry about here. I said, I don't know what they done in different races, but here we want to make sure we always do it. You know? So
Right.
if you want to cut the flights, it's up to you. I'm still going to do it. But my advice is not to do it because of what we do when they get here. That might affect something, you know? So if you do it, It's up to you. Whatever vaccination, just do it 15 days before, because we run to because sometimes you're like, well, they give you a note like I vaccinated like 2 days ago. I'm like, what?
Right.
So it's hard for us.
Yeah.
They're gonna be vaccinated. I have notes where they say that don't vaccinate my birds, buddy. I'm sorry, they're in my hands. I do what I want now.
Yeah.
And not on some, on a bad way, but how you really going to establish the health of the birds if you're vaccinating some birds and not others? So you have to vaccinate every single bird that comes before they go in the loft. Vaccinate.
Yeah, I think it's important to get them vaccinated before you send, because you want them to start to build up that immunity so that when they're introduced to all of these different pigeons, that they're already, have started that process of having good immunity and health. And so I think that's great advice that people need to follow. What products are you using during the week and whatnot? Because I love your updates. You do a lot of great updates on Facebook, and you have different color stuff in the water, purple stuff, and what are you using that feed, supplements, water? What are you using?
Okay, so there's some supplements. Okay, this right here, man, it changed my life. This is the purple stuff that you see.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually made by some of my friends in Mexico. They made this product. It's some probiotics, man, and I've tried out several different ones. And when this guy say try, he mean business.
Right.
He's not gonna tell me try and hope for the best. He has been one guy that I need medication, boom, he didn't send it to me. I need to send products like that. He develops them, send it to me. So I think I'm very blessed on that end that I get access to anything that I need. Medication that are very stronger, a little bit better back home than here. It is a lot of regulations. So I think that's one of the things that I'm actually lucky to have our friends over there that get to know when something's coming and it's hot and it works. Boom, try this, try that, and they said, well, this is going to be replaced for that. So I have a plan. So and then he knows the plan. He knows what I use. He knows when and everything. And he's like, well, this is too expensive. But if you do this, it's not as expensive. It's the same thing and it's working better. Boom, change it, try, and it works. So they like you get a lot of people even here in the States that trying to promote either new medication, new supplements,
Right.
new feed. They're even willing to give it for you for free. But sometimes free is not, it doesn't work. So I was trying to see, okay, I have a system. This is my system. If the previous year I feel like there's some type of weakness, if you can say it, like I felt like the birds were weak here. Here, can we improve? Then I start looking for to replace that. What's better, and I sit down and especially here also with several one-off races, we have the same breeder, so there's an outbreak or something. Hey, be careful. So I got some birds and you might get it too. So if they can help me, I can help them to prevent it, because we all share the same breeder. So eventually we're going to get the same thing. And if we can help each other, life will be easier. So I believe in a lot of vitamins, supplements, medication at the beginning is a must in my race. They're going to go through a whole entire cleaning. And I don't do individuals or a different law quarantine. I tried it, but it's like I said, I'm not very smart, but I feel like when you get a pigeon, you put them on a place, you do quarantine, whatever, why not, and then you move them again. Guess what? It's going to stress again, start all over again. So what I do, stick it on a section, fill that section, start quarantine, move to the next one, and move to the next one. So the birds get better, get settled, they don't have to stress no more. And you already start your quarantine.
And if you're medicating them all at the beginning, they're all going to be on the same level.
Exactly. So say, for example, section 1, fill it up, start medicating. Sections 2 is filled up, start with the same medication. When this one is done, then they combine. and I start with a different medication because now it's a bigger group. So now we preparing them for trapping and all that. Now that the third section gets filled up, they're starting with the same thing as the other two, and then the fourth, and then when the fourth and the third gets done, I actually merge them too. So now it's 1 and 2 together, 3 and 4 together. Now I'll start with the 5 and 6, and then 5, 6 get together. Now since this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, they get combined to one group, and that's how I started with my whole group. I'm more worried about the health at the beginning than trying to get the birds out right away.
Yeah.
I actually like that better because you want to make sure they're healthy and ready to go. And when at the beginning, I like to treat the pigeons like babies. You get them to let them play, to let them enjoy. But whenever it comes down to business, they better be ready. And they develop themselves a little bit better. I believe. Let them play on the grass, fly up and down. Just regular things that a lot of people do. A lot of people does, and it works for them, and it's great. They like to force the birds at the beginning, but I don't know. I don't like to do that. Like force. Even there's some people that actually like to take them down the road before they they lock them down for molting or whatever it is. Put the flights or pox or whatever. So, but here we like to let them be babies, and then after that, then it's showtime.
Right.
Because we train. When it's down to training, we get down to business. There's no, you give me the good days and I train every day.
What kind of pigeon are you finding that is working out of the new Western courses? Is it more hens, more cocks? Is there a certain body type that you saw, or is it a mixture? What advice can you give to people who maybe in their young bird section are selecting birds to send to your race? What kind of pigeon do you think is going to give them the best chance? Is there a certain one?
Sex-wise, it's first year, so it's not really, we can't really go based on that. The best bird, which it was a tremendous bird, our champion bird, turned out to be a hen. But I mean, that hen, I don't remember when I handled a hen like that before. It was a medium size. And I'm more to like medium to large than a small to smaller. Small to smaller seems like they were struggling to keep up because eventually they had to come. I mean, people would think that the bigger the birds, the better it is if they're hitting headwinds or crosswinds, but they struggle. I saw some of them that were struggling with they're too small just to keep up. Medium and large birds, they usually be better than the very small birds. If it's small and medium, you'll be fine. But if it's like small size, and especially if you send them like on the last minute, and they don't. It's not that they don't develop, but those birds are made for that. Like they will stay small. I noticed that they struggle a lot to actually keep up with the trainings and with the races.
Do you have any thoughts on the future of one lofts, how it can improve? Advice to people who may be thinking about starting a one loft, stuff like that.
How can we improve? Let's see. I think if we listen to the breeders, what they want to see, I think that's a good improvement, because it's hard to listen to everybody or have everybody please. But if you actually see what they really want, what they really need, they're usually looking for an improvement, meaning hand scanning, video, GPS, we not do everything perfect, but we try. So, wish they can cut some slack. Like, okay, the judgment is always there. Even if, like I said, we're not perfect, we're trying to. It's not that we're not trying. We're trying. I think, that the main races, if they continue to do what they're doing, they're actually setting a standard. And unfortunately, I think what's going to make us different, and I say it, I'm not scared to say it, the no perch tree up front, I think that could hurt the sport because for so different reasons, you know. When you have a standard and you go up, you push even the breeders and the races to either get with that standard or eventually they're going to be out of business. With the perch feed, what's happening is now everybody, well, not everybody, because a lot of smart people know what they're trying to do or what that concept is. But if you see who started that, I want you to go and see the results from the past years. They didn't have a choice. Either it was that or it was not, or not go, you know?
Right.
So I don't know why should other races that done their job needs to be meeting those criteria. If I'm doing my job, if you're doing your job, why are you going to get punished for somebody else not doing the job?
Right.
So I tell people, wait, if that's, and I understand, you know, like money-wise, I totally understand. But, you know, like I said, there's different races for different people. Good luck for everybody who's doing the new format. But I don't think I'm going to do that. You know, people have asked me, and I was like, man, if I really need to do that route, I have to go out of business, you know, because
Right.
that's how my family depends on that.
Right.
So one thing I need to know, and you need to know, that this depends, like my family depends on this. I have to make a living, so I have to do my best job, and I want to make sure I please most of the people. If I can please 90% of the people, and I feel good with myself, I think I have done my job. I said, so Lucas, you know, Crooked River, it's always on top. It's always like there. California Classic, you know, who else is out there? Black Gold, Orlando, other races that, you know, they're always there. They're always training. They're always consistent. And I don't know if you know this program that we have, the U.S. National Ace Pigeon.
Right. I do.
So we started, Rory, myself, and Ioannis from Black Gold. We started talking like, hey, we should do this, you know, because we love pigeons. So we want to see, more than anything, just have fun. Like something to talk about, something to have that everybody's enjoying, feeling. Because guess what? We all like to brag. You like to brag the good pigeons. I like to brag my good pigeons. So let's find out a way to compare. So we come up with 700 birds minimum activation. Last year we had a lot of people. Well, you have to lower that. You have to lower that. Why would we have to lower our standards? Why can't it be the other way? There was a person or there was a rate that had 500. That should motivate to do a better job to get to the 700. Why we have to lower our standards? We're going up. We don't go down. If we're going down, that's bad. That's not good for business.
Right.
That's how we see it. You know, I don't know what. Maybe you can tell me as a breeder, if we've been too dramatic or not. But I don't want to change it. You know,
Right.
this
No,
is
I
a motivation
understand.
that people have to get out there. So because we're going up, we don't going down.
Right. No, I think that's an awesome thing you all put together, and I think it excites people, and you know, more lofts should definitely look to get involved with that, because it it does give you it does bring all of the one lofts together when you have that, you know, ranking system. You know, the ones that are involved with it, it puts them together in a way that wasn't there before, you know.
Yeah, so it's like something fun for the breeders, you know. It doesn't cost them any money, and whoever wins it, you know, wins purchase from all these races that are competing. Which is, like I said, it's just fun. We need to do more, to have more fun and something to show. We always try to improve every year. This is our second year. We're trying to put a website together so we can have weekly reports and all that. So Tony is the one that's actually helping us a lot with all these numbers. So like I said, we're growing. We take a lot of advice from people, but like I said, we kind of know where we want to be. So if it's a good advice and it will make the program better, we definitely take it. Like I said, but last year I felt like we want to bring them down, and no, it's just about adding more than, you know, deducting. Because, you know, the people were like, well, this race, I was in this race, and it only takes so many. I'm like, well, buddy, you should motivate that guy, you know, to get up there, you know, because we're just growing. This is just starting. It's growing. It's growing. It's not like, we have reached the max, or there's no people, there's no more birds out there to get. There's a lot more to get. Like, there's enough cake for everybody. That's how I see it. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't see anybody as a competition. I only see myself a competition. Like, what I'm gonna do better, and what I have to do better to beat myself last year. where I was last year. What am I doing this year to be able to do better than last year? Because it's scary when you start concentrating on trying to beat somebody. You're not being yourself, and you're not following your dreams. You're just trying to, go against somebody.
Well, I think you've given some awesome advice and information to people. And one of the things that I really appreciate, and I think you're the top at, is keeping people informed in what's going on at the loft, what's happening with the birds. You're always live streaming things. You're giving updates. You put a lot of work into that. And one of the worst things that can happen if you enter a one loft is that there's no updates. You're not seeing what's going on. There's just confusion going on. Your race is very transparent and open and honest, and your ability to adapt, your willingness to learn and to listen to people. And like you said, you can't do everything everybody wants, but your willingness to at least have a conversation and listen and continue to develop and adapt. That's awesome, man. And I think you're at the top of the game in that regard, and you put on a great race. And so I just really appreciate you coming on. Is there you're about to start accepting birds, right? What's the date that you're accepting?
Okay, so we start accepting birds from March 18 to May 18. We're trying to take them a little bit early, a little bit fast, finish faster if we can. The only problem here in Texas, I don't know, I'm pretty sure you're aware, is dove season is in September.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of let them get that out of the system at least like 2 or 3, like the 3 first weeks. So the only thing we can do is train the days during the middle of the day. Too early, I mean, here, especially here on my other place, I used to be in the city, so not really that much problem. Here in the country, there's a problem. Either too early or late, you can hear the shots. You can hear the gunshots. So
yeah,
we have to be very, very careful with that. The heat too, that's what I'm saying. When the first race starts, that's when we start and don't stop. So that's the things, but we're trying to just make sure we get ready. I usually take them April the 1st, but now I'm trying to give myself 2 more weeks, so hopefully we can get them ready. We don't know what the weather is going to do. We've seen it. Y'all seen it. Everybody's seen it. It's changing every time. So we just have to go and be ready for whenever it's time we can actually go. But we're going to try to get the first race at least mid-October, last week of October, so we can get going and finish fast. I have not spend a Christmas. I don't remember when was the last year that I have not spent a Christmas without worrying about pigeons. It's been years, man.
Right.
So I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but it would be nice to have no more pigeons, and we're done.
Yeah, I get it. Well, you're doing a great job. I think that your results speak for themselves on the type of race you put on. And so I appreciate you coming on. I think people are going to learn a lot from this. And, is there anything else that you'd like to add to the conversation that I haven't covered or that I missed?
Yes. Let me, now that you said about my race. So we do have several categories optional. We do have the sprint race, which starts, at the 120, and it finished at 290. It's $100 sprint race. We developed the grand average, which starts from the first race all the way to the end, and we have all the way to the 400, which we always have like 100, 120 between 100 miles or 120 between. It's 120 between the final and the 400. We always throw one on the middle. So it's 7 races competition. This is a competition of 7 races. Who has a better average speed bird, champion bird on those 7 races? There's grand average, and we also have, which everybody loves, the color bird. I enjoy those, men, coming in. The color bird means anything that is not blue check or blue bar. They had about 60% of more of color, either black, white, red, grizzle, anything that the hawk would chase first. that competes,
Right, yeah.
And it gets very good. We usually the hawk pay, depending on what we do, we always last year we've been with the last 2-3 years has been always one prize, first place. But everything else, since we got a lot of people, we do 3. We do 50, 30, and 20. So we do 3 spring race and the grand average. And then we have the champion of champion, which is a 411, which this year, man, I was, it's good. And the only thing that I don't like about the West is that we have about less time to get the birds home. That's the only
Right,
thing that, you
right.
know, we have to be careful. This past year, we got them almost at dark, but we were able to get birds, you know, that was great.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Let's do it again. I know you're about to hit your busy season, but maybe once the one loft season's over, we can recap how it went and maybe some more lessons that you learned, and keep talking pigeons. You know, I think that you know, people having these conversations and being able to see us talk will help them help them be educated on the one loft scene, what's going on, and you know, what expectations the handlers have for the breeders. I think that that's something that, you know, people need more awareness on. So I appreciate your willingness to do this.
Well, thank you very much. And like I said, don't be afraid to call your manager, your local manager, and just get information. You know, hey, what's happening? How can I do better? So that's the only way we're gonna get better.
Right. If people want to check you out, contact you, website, what's the website?
The website is cuevasclassic.com. If you really want to enjoy my race, you have to follow me on Facebook. That changed the whole thing. I tell people, I say, do you have Facebook? No, I said, that's why you're asking me this question. I said, if you really want to enjoy my race, you need to go to Facebook. I said, if you follow me on Facebook, you know, I mean, you will have videos all the time.
All the time.
You know, sometimes. So, you know, I like to kind of keep everybody informed. And like I said, I starting to do that because when I was flying back in the days, that's something that I wanted to see. So I always want to do what I would like to see. That's what you get from me. So if I like to see something on another race, that's what I'm going to be doing. You know.
And where on Facebook, where do people find your page? What's the page name?
You can find me on Cuevas Classic, all there are, or Tony Cuevas, my name, whichever. You know, I usually do more on my race, on my pace race, than my personal but no personal. But you know, you will find me one or the other. You will find me because I always share between them two, or give me a call. The best way for you to give me, you have a question, just pick up the phone and call. That's the best way. You know, you have any questions or whatever, just pick up the phone, leave me a voice message or a text, and I will call you back. I'll definitely call people back. Trust me. Even when I see something that, you know, something say, I'll pick up the phone and say, hey, what's happening? You know? Because I want to know, make sure, because I'm the type of person that I was trying to check myself in the mirror, see what's happening. Hey, what's happening? If there's an issue, call me. Hey, any questions or anything you need, just call me and we can make it work.
Tony Cuevas, man, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome information, and vámonos.
Vámonos.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks.